Good morning guys. So hope you had a wonderful Super Bowl Sunday. Hannah and I had a nice little fire. We cooked up some vegan hot dogs. It was glorious. So I want to start today just by answering some of the common questions that I received on the last video. I have explained how the system works in previous videos, but it was well over, I think probably at least a month ago. So I'll just go over it again, exactly how things are going to work. So from the rain roof, which is about 150 feet behind the camera, there's going to be two 4-inch PVC lines that are going to basically be transferring the water from the rain roof down into the tanks. So they're going to be trenched underground. I don't know exactly how far I'm going to go, and it will be what's called a wet system. So there's going to be water in the system pretty well at all times, with the exception being if I drain the water out of the pipe. That would be the only time where there wouldn't be water in it. So just imagine two 4-inch pipes, PVC pipes, so they're quite large. They're going to be trenched underground, coming underneath the camera there, underground, 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 and then we're going to 90 up and then 90 in to the top of the tanks. And what I'm going to do right at the bottom here is I'm going to have, I don't know exactly what the part is called, but it's kind of like in the shape of a Y. I'll put a picture up. And on the end of the kind of split off portion, I'm gonna put a clean out there. So the clean out is gonna allow me to drain the water from the pipes if I ever need to do that. But what it's also going to allow me to do, if there's any sediment that collects basically at that bottom 90 before it goes up the side of the tank and then 90s in, I'll be able to reach in and clean out any sand or sediment that would be in the bottom of the pipes. So how this system is gonna work is gonna be the exact same of how my buddy Joe did his system. So essentially the first poly tank is going to be essentially what you would call a first flush diverter. So the initial water that has all the sand and the sediment in it is basically just gonna flow into the first tank. Now if you remember from when I plumbed them up, is that I put shutoff valves at each of the bulkhead fittings. So I can close the shutoff valve on this tank so that basically this tank is going to just keep filling up, filling up, filling up, while the other tanks are not going to be getting filled up with water. So any of the sand or sediment that gets into the tank is going to settle at the bottom. And then how the other tanks are going to get filled up is, so the overflow that is located right here, I'm going to pipe that into this tank here. So the much cleaner water that's going to have a lot less sand and sediment in it is the stuff that's going to be overflowing into the other 3 tanks, because the shutoff valves on the other 3 tanks are going to be open, so they will fill up evenly as the overflow from the first tank goes into that one right there. So over the course of a year, what's going to happen is this first poly tank is going to have a layer of sand and sediment in the bottom. And that's totally fine. I understand that that's gonna happen. So what's nice about these tanks is that they have a big manhole cover on it. So probably once a year, what I'm gonna do is just clean out the bottom of the tank. And there's probably gonna be another way that I could do it, maybe with like some type of like vacuum system or something like that. So that's how I'm gonna be setting up this system. It's the exact same way that my buddy Joe has been doing it. I did a video on his water harvesting setup probably 2 or 3 months ago. And he's been doing it like this for, I think it's been about 7 years that he's been doing rainwater harvesting, and it's been working great for him. So we're just basically gonna model our system off of his system. And then in order to keep the water clean, you could certainly add some chemicals to it, just like a very small amount. I would also like to hear some of your guys' suggestions for keeping the water a little bit cleaner. I know my buddy Joe, he'll just put in a little bit of bleach just to keep the water from growing any little funkies in his tanks. But I know there are some other alternatives, so I'd certainly like to hear some of your suggestions about that. So the water that's gonna be drawn into the house is gonna be from that tank, the one in the back corner, and the one behind this first one. It'll just be pulled out evenly between those 3 tanks. So I think that's probably the easiest way to get it set up, and then that'll separate some of the sand and the sediment that collects on the roof. Because yeah, a little bit of sand and a little bit of sediment is gonna blow on the roof. That's totally understandable. So another question that was popping up in the last video is people are basically like, you're building a roof that's just sitting on cinder blocks. When the wind comes along, is this gonna pick it up And it's like, yes, I totally understand that. That's why I explained it in the video previous to that one. So when I say, hey, go watch this other video because it'll explain everything, it's like, go watch that video, then your question's probably gonna be answered. So what I'm gonna be using here to anchor this down is I got the biggest ground anchors that I could find. So these are 48 inches long, and basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a number of these. I don't know exactly how many yet. I bought 5, but that's because Tractor Supply only had 5. So I'll probably have to get at least another 5 more, and I'm just gonna space these out around the perimeter of the rain roof. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna anchor the framing of the roof to one of these earth anchors. Something else that I'm gonna do that to minimize the amount of wind that gets under the roof is, this was an idea by Joe, is he's just like, build a berm around the perimeter of the roof, and then it'll deflect the wind up over the roof instead of going under it. So since I have the tractor now with the backhoe, that's gonna make that job a whole lot easier. So I'm gonna be doing that just to prevent the air from getting under it. So this is obviously something that I've thought about quite a bit, and I think that this is gonna be the best solution for it. So the last comment that kept popping up is people are saying that there's gonna be snakes and there's gonna be rodents that are going to live under the rain roof. And I have personally no issues with that. If they wanna stay under the rain roof and stay out here rather than going in our fenced-in area, then I'd say that that's great. And if they're gonna have like a party or anything like that, because there's probably gonna be a few that are gonna make their nests underneath here or make it their home underneath the rain roof, if they're gonna have like some type of like party or something, it's like, I would hope that I would get an invite. Like that would be kind of nice of them to do that. But I'm not holding my breath on that invite right there. All right, last thing that I wanna quickly talk about, I'm gonna be changing up the design, or basically how I'm gonna be constructing it. So this was actually my original design. So having the 8-footer span entirely across that with no support in the middle. So this was like my original design. Actually, my original design didn't even have the pieces going up like this, the 2x4s going up like this. It was only 2x4s going across like that. But I'm just like, I might as well add in some of the vertical pieces. It'll make the whole structure a little bit stronger, and I think that that is a better solution. But I'm kind of running out of cinder blocks right now because I've been basically doubling up the number of cinder blocks on the first part of the roof over here. So originally I didn't plan on doing that many cinder blocks, so I'm basically just going to go down to a bit more of a basic structure like this. So the thing with the rain roof here is that how it's designed is that it's easy to put together, but it's also easy to take apart. So if there's any issues with in terms of like repairs, it's like it'd be very easy just to take off several rows of the roofing panels to make any repairs to it and then just screw it all back down. Like to take off or to even put on all the roofing panels on this probably wouldn't take more than a few hours, if not like closer to an hour. So to get started off today, I'm just gonna work on getting this graded off just a little bit, just kind of smooth it out with the box blade on the tractor, and then we'll start doing the rest of the framing, and it'll be great. need to get a little bit done in the back corner there, but I need a few more 2x4s to finish that off. And then I'm also gonna get the rest of the ground anchors that I'm gonna use for basically securing the frame to the ground. All right, I'll catch you guys on the next video. I'm gonna do the ground anchoring, and then we're gonna attach all the roofing, and then I'm gonna dig the berm around basically the perimeter of it, and then the rain roof is done, except for obviously piping it to the tanks. All right, awesome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Catch you on the next video. Talk to you soon. Peace.